Not long ago, we were stuck, grinding jobs we hated. But there's so much more to life than that.
We decided to do everything that everyone told us could not be done. Now we're flipping houses, we own multiple companies, and we're here to prove that you never have to settle for mediocrity.
I tour with my band, we run our companies together, and we've manifested a life beyond our wildest dreams. All by having the courage to take the leap and ignore the naysayers.
We declared mutiny on the life we were handed. Now we are here to share how we did it with you.
Tune in for inspiring stories, manifestation techniques, and real advice. We'll show you the steps to flip your mindset, your money, and your life.
Welcome to the Mutiny Model.
Ready to join the rebellion? Let's chart your course. Welcome everyone to the Mutiny Model. My name is Stephanie. I'm here with my handsome husband, Patrick.
That's right.
How are you today, babe?
I am great. I'm always good.
Thank you. You're always great.
Good.
We're going to dive into that a little bit today.
Let's go.
Why you're always good.
I'm ready.
Yes. So we are here always empowering your strategic rebellion, empowering you guys to take big leaps, empowering you to identify and figure out what you're not happy with in your life, and inspiring you to change it and giving you actual, real, grounded techniques in order to do so. So, welcome. This episode is going to be a two-part episode. So, the first thing I think I really want to get across to people is this episode is about how to manifest whatever you want. And it's going to be a two-part. So, obviously, it's a Friday. This drops on Friday. The following Friday, part 2 is going to come out. So I'd like you to just take a moment and commit to yourself that you're going to watch both episodes, because you need to watch both episodes in order for this to click, in order for you to receive this and actually go forward and be able to use it in your life. So take a second to commit to yourself, commit to that you want to make that change, and that you're going to be ready and set aside a time to listen to part 2 as well.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So manifestation, that's what this is going to be about. We have been watching our comments, we've been watching our DMs, we've been watching our emails really closely, and we're finding that we're getting so many questions about, okay, you talk about manifestation, but just like at a basic level, like, what do you mean by that? Is that just like you think positive and you get what you want? Or is there more of a technique to it? How have you done it? You know, what mistakes have you made? That's really going to be the meat of the content today. So I want to start with, we've manifested a lot. We've manifested a lot of things. We've manifested ourselves to be right here.
That's right.
Right? 5 months ago, we said, let's start a podcast. Let's share our knowledge. We didn't have this studio. We didn't have these beautiful producers that are here with us today. We didn't know them, right? We found them. We manifested them.
That's right.
What was the process that we went through to do that, right? But I want to take it back in time a little bit to the beginning of our relationship. Which, if you guys listened to episode 1 and 2, you kind of got to know our story of how we started out as entrepreneurs. I want to take it back a little bit and talk about your intuition, Patrick.
Okay.
I want to talk about, because I feel strongly that at the beginning of our relationship, you had more of just an intuition about manifestation, and you were like trying to tell me about it, and I was just very like grounded, methodical, analytical, and you were like, no babe, you just got to think positive. And I was like, what are you talking? You can't just think positive and everything always worked out. Like, I was like so frustrated. So yeah, I want you to tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, as you know, I feel like as long as you've known me, I have always had this thing inside of me intuitively, right? Where
yes.
I didn't know what it was before. I just knew I had good luck.
Yep.
And I was always positive, right? And then we talk about this all the time, and I actually think we talked about this last episode where one of the books that started it all for me was The Secret. It started that. Yep. But before that, it was positive thinking can only go a long way, as it can only go so far. That is right. And then after that, it's like, you use willpower to accomplish things. You use hard work,
yeah.
And all these things. But the book itself was the one that opened my eyes to knowing, oh, so this is a thing. Mm-hmm. There are other people, I call them my tribe, that are out there in the world. And for the fact that an author wrote a book about this, or authors, because that was written by multiple people. The book, The Secret, is written by Rhonda Byrne, is the one of the main authors, if I remember correctly. And then there are a few others that are quoted in the book. It's been years since I read the book. But that was the one that said, oh, okay, now it gave me confidence now. It opened my eyes and I said...
Somewhat of an organization or a system.
Correct.
To use it.
Correct.
Right?
Knowing there are people out there doing this.
You knew it on a soul level. There are things that we know on soul level that we remember from past lifetimes.
Yeah.
But it needs to be activated by a teacher or a book. And when we've all read something that it's like you read it and it just hit you. It resonated so much. So
it was very profound.
I just want to honor that in you, that you always knew this. You had this in your DNA encoded somewhere.
Correct.
But the book for you was the aha.
Yeah, it really was.
Right?
It really was. It really was. And that was it was like a gift, actually. Once I read it, once I found the book and I read it, it became a gift. Where I read the book from beginning to end, right? And I couldn't put this book down. There are a few books I've read in my life there where I picked it up and I started to read, and I had to go through
Can't put it down.
And I used to say that before. I'm like, I don't read. You know how after school, you do school, you go to high school, go to college. A lot of people don't read books forever after that. Like you don't read a book from beginning to end unless it's really something you're into, you're excited about. Well, nobody reads after let me not say nobody. A lot of people don't read after, right? However, these books, there's certain books that I've read. And in there, things started to make sense. And then I said, okay, there is a system to doing all this, right? There's a system to manifesting things. But I was so excited when I read that book that I started preaching to everybody I knew. We used to work in a hospital setting, and I used to chase doctors down the hallway telling them, The Secret, you got to read The Secret. And all the staff members, they thought I was crazy, And it's so funny how when I look back from that time to now, the things I've manifested, it's wild to think of. I playfully say this, I manifested you. I was one of the pretty wife that sang and super smart. Check mark, check mark, check mark. There's more to you, but that was the basis for me. And I was like, I manifested you. You didn't even know it. You didn't even know it. And everybody around me these days, I feel like I've manifested all the people, all the good people. Circle, because, I don't do well with toxic people, negative people. And so the people I surround myself with at this moment they're all beautiful souls, beautiful people, from the beautiful producers here to Allison, to all the friends we have, all the other our construction guys, our workers. Everybody's everybody's a good soul,
uplifting.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure if this is gonna we're going right into this part, but remember one of the things I manifested that was on my wallpaper, my phone? Yeah. And you want to say?
Yeah. Why don't you tell the story?
Okay.
Tell the story, because it's so what we're trying to do here, what we're trying to give you guys as the audience, as the listener, is to let you know that you're all manifesting things by accident right now. And if you don't know the principles and the laws of manifestation, you're manifesting things slowly, accidentally, and not intentionally, and it could take years when really you could manifest something in months if you know the steps to take, right?
Sure.
So once Patrick started with the affirmations, the visualization, having a vision board, getting clear on goals, working on raising your vibration, raising your frequency, cutting out toxicity out of your life, which are all necessary steps, and we're going to dive into each one on these 2 episodes. You started to manifest quicker.
Right.
So tell me, how did you manifest your Maserati?
This is good. This is good because it's a real thing.
Yep.
It's a real thing, right?
It's a real life example.
So a lot of us have dreams, goals, things that you want.
Dream cars,
whatever,
growing up,
whatever it is,
yeah.
the dream house, the dream vacation, the dream job, whatever it is, right? Well, me in my journey at that point, the thing I wanted was a Maserati.
Yep.
Nice car.
Yeah.
You know.
Which stressed me out, by the way. I just want to be so transparent.
Yeah.
I was wicked stressed out by this. I was like, this payment is going to be nuts.
Yeah,
Like this is going to be crazy. And I don't know. And I'm looking, I'm going, he's really doing it. He put it on his vision board. And I know he's going to manifest it. But yeah, so go ahead.
Well, think about it. We don't know. I think that was one of my first experimental things.
Yeah.
It really was.
Like toward the beginning, right?
Because when you start to learn about it, you actually not supposed to think about how you're going to get this thing, where it's going to come from.
Nope.
Right. And it sounds like woo, because I know a lot of people watching this are going to say, oh, this guy's probably crazy. Because I used to be that person, would hear other people talk about this thing, and I was like, oh, either they're crazy or it's woo, or I don't know what to make of it.
Which
right?
I would like to say, if someone watching this thinks that you're crazy, right? I would invite them to look at their lives and ask themselves, what have they manifested?
Yeah.
And then to look at you and get real and say, what has this guy manifested? And say, well, maybe he's not crazy. Maybe there's something to it. So go ahead.
Yeah, okay. However, I do no. So I know I hear you, but this is the thing. For those people that don't know or don't believe, listen. Everybody's on their own part of their life
and
journey.
Everything comes in the right time.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Again, I'm telling you, I used to be a non-believer.
Yep.
Even though intuitively, I knew something was there.
Yeah.
Didn't fully know. I wasn't fully aware and knowledgeable. And over time, so now I'm a full believer because I know this works. And I'm a guinea pig. And a lot of people that's watching this don't know me, right? They don't know me. So we could be sitting here to talk. But the people that know us know the type of life we've manifested.
Seen the progression.
They know.
Right.
Our friends and family know.
From the
They know.
beginning.
They know where we came from. Like you're saying, we used to work at a job where a Maserati at that time is equivalent of somebody saying, I'm going to buy a private jet. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Essentially. The delta,
right.
Between how
Hey,
much you make and how much is
Where's that come from? Who's going to give you this?
So tell me about the Maserati.
Yes, that's what it's leading up to this. Okay. This is cool, right? So again, for my visualization process, and part of it was I learned that, putting it somewhere visual, this thing that you want, whether it's like a phone screensaver or your computer or an actual vision board, you gotta put that thing there that you want and literally just put the work to just try to visualize yourself in this thing, and over
see
time.
See it in front of you all the time.
Yes, seeing it in front of you. Get into the practice of that, okay?
The more times per day you look at it, the better, right?
Exactly. I put it somewhere where I'm walking by, I see it.
Yeah.
But what better place than the phone now these days, right?
That's
Everybody
right.
has a phone. Everybody has a phone that you could look at and you could do the thing. So I put I found a picture, a nice picture of it, of a Maserati, and I was looking for a black with a red interior Maserati.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it nowhere on the internet.
And you had the picture
one that I wanted
on your phone for a couple months prior, leading up, right? And you kept affirming it every day. I'm going to buy a Maserati. I'm going to get a Maserati.
Yes.
I remember this.
So I put the thing there. I put it on there. And at some point, it just becomes like second nature. Like it was on there for so long that you forget about it almost. You see it.
Yeah.
You see it. You see it every day. It's your phone. But you forget even why you put it on there sometimes. Because it's just second nature. You pick up your phone, you're just doing other things. Lo and behold, fast forward, you know where this is going. I got the Maserati. And again, the way it happened was, it's not like I had to go far to find the thing.
We were looking far. We were looking in New Jersey. We were looking in Florida. We found some black ones. But what color was the Maserati that you had on your phone?
It was white.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, take that back. Black. Did I have the black one?
No, it was the white one.
Because I was like,
that's the point. You had a white Maserati on your screensaver, and you were like, at least it's a Maserati. And you were like, but I'm going to get a black one with the right calipers.
Because that's what I wanted, right? I wanted a black one with red interior.
So we found, after going through our search, right, we surrendered to the process. You weren't stressed out about it. You were like, the right one will come when it's right.
Correct.
And we found a white Maserati
Yes.
in New Hampshire
Yes.
that looked exactly like the one on your phone.
It really did. It was freaky, and it was right,
it.
and the payment worked well at the time.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
whether it's because from the time, and it took a few, to be honest, it took a few years for this for it to come to fruition, right?
Yeah, I mean, for the screenshot on your phone, I would say it was like 3 months.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But you had wanted it for a long time
For a few
before
years
then.
before that.
And we were doing our real estate hustle and all that. Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
So how cool it lined up, because from the time I wanted this thing, right,
Yeah.
to the time I got it, we were able to afford it because instances changed with our jobs.
Yep.
Whether I got a raise, you got a raise,
Yeah.
switch industries, we got promotions. So when the time came, the payment was doable for us.
It was fine.
It
Yeah.
was absolutely
Yeah.
fine.
So our circumstances adjusted to our vision,
Correct.
right?
Correct. And that's part of the thing with manifestation. See, a lot of people, when they manifest, they want to make it happen forcefully by willing this thing to happen, because there's so many practices, so many teachers that teach, and then you learn, and then you figure out like, that's really not the way. So you got to move to the next teacher. There's so many teachers in the world,
Yeah.
the world of TikTok and Instagram and all these platforms there's so many teachers emerging, I call it, right? It could be like a young 20-year-old kid teaching you something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and
And they say
surprised. Yeah.
something and it hits home. You're like, oh, I didn't know that. Wise souls. There are a lot of wise souls in the world. It could be like an 89-year-old person teaching you something, and that comes from deep wisdom. They know they've drank and they know things. That's what I say about people, right?
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. I drink
Yeah.
and I know things these days.
Yeah.
But all these social media platforms, so much knowledge, so much wisdom. You can find answers. You could go down a rabbit hole. We call
Yep.
it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's all out there with manifestation. And I think, but I think there's a lot of wrong information out there too.
of course.
And so our purpose here is to tell you what we did wrong, what's right, and how can you make your own map.
Yeah. I want to add though. So there is no blueprint. There is no exact blueprint. I think you got to do what resonates with you too at the same point, right? There's so much knowledge. I get overwhelmed still to this day.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
you and I, we always want to grow and we want to learn. And we're still doing that. It's actually ignorant when people says, oh, I know everything.
everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't need no more knowledge, and
Yeah.
says that's coming from a place of comfort and ignorance, if you ask me. When it's innocent, I call it innocent ignorance sometimes. You don't know better. You're just innocent, But yeah, no, it's incredible. And I think where you have to do, or when you listen to a teacher speak, it could resonate and it could sink into your soul. And if you take those right steps, and because you got to do the work. That's another thing when people
Yeah.
a lot of manifest.
Yeah, we're going to dive into that when we do the steps.
Oh, there was a funny
Yeah.
place too. There's a funny thing I want to talk about where when I thought manifesting was like this thing, when I started learning, I used to just want to manifest things and just sit back and wait. That was because one
Yeah.
of the teachers told me that.
Well, someone said that.
I said,
all you have to
well,
do is
just
visualize it,
and it'll
then
come.
just sit back and it'll come.
This thing will
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
This whatever I want.
Yeah.
This $1 million. No, but you got to put the work. You got to be doing something. You got to be working. You got to, and it coincides. It goes hand in hand. You got to be doing something, and being manifesting just kind of comes. It's like the universe senses that you're putting in this genuine work to get this thing you want, and it helps you.
Yeah.
Or it brings it to you. It's like this gift. It gifts you the thing because it knows this is your true desires. Because us as humans, we're really powerful beings. All of us. There's no difference between a multi-billionaire and a homeless person to the core. Yeah, we're talking about $1 billion versus no money. We're not talking about money. There's
Everyone
so
has
much
the
that makes
ability to create.
There's so much substance to a human being that makes
Yeah.
you can know a billionaire that's like a trashy person, but that homeless person could be the most decent person in the world. Just because their situations, we're all humans at the end of the day. But anyways, yeah. So all that being said, Steph, what is it that convinced you that manifestation works?
Yeah, well, I'm super analytical.
Of course.
And I love to read, and I love to know how things work. That's how my brain works. I have to know how it works, or I'm not interested, can't get on board, right? So I want to say that I started some visualization and meditation practices, and I started doing vision boards, and I started seeing like some little results here and there, and I was like, that's very cool, right? So that was grounded. That was like in real life, like stuff that just personally, anecdotally, like I could track and observe, right? That's when I really started to dive into the research, right? So for the listeners, I want to talk about the science behind this first before we dive into the part that's a little bit more woo-woo, shall we say, right? So there was an experiment with quantum physics. It's called the double slit experiment. And Richard Feynman in the 1960s, he found that we're talking about the building blocks of reality, okay? This is what quantum physics has to do with. So we go, down from muscles to organs to cells, and cells are made up by atoms, and then we keep going down and we get to electrons, and it's like, what is the base? What is this table made of, right? What are our bodies made of? We're made up of particles, is what quantum physics had found. And then it does go down even smaller, but for the sake of this conversation, we're going to discuss particles, okay? So they did this experiment in the lab, and they were measuring with proton sensors. Okay. And they found that when they sent these particles through these two different slits in a wall, that the ones that they observe acted totally differently than the ones that they did not observe, track, or measure. Okay? So this is a very profound principle, and I could take 2 episodes just talking about this, right? So I encourage people to research this and look up the double slit experiment and try to kind of grasp it on a deeper level if you're interested in manifestation. But it basically, the key takeaway is that what you focus on, you can influence on a quantum level, okay? So that for me was a really big realization. So it's like that saying, where focus goes, energy flows, type of thing, which does kind of bring you back to just the basics of positive thinking, right? Like, how you wake up, I'm gonna have a great day today. I know I have a challenge at 1 o'clock. I'm not looking forward to this Zoom, but this is how I'm gonna make it great, right? Those are little techniques that you can use to kind of respect, and take that experiment and start to integrate it into your life. So these particles, basically, when they were not observed, they stayed in the form of possibility, right? That's the best way to explain it. So when we observe something, it turns into matter. So our minds have the ability to turn things into matter, okay? So like a quick example of this is you are craving a burger, and you drive out, you buy a burger. Yeah, okay, you've manifested getting a burger, right? That's like a tiny example. So how do we make this bigger? How do we manifest $1 million, right? How do we, because we're bound by the laws of time and space in this 3D realm on this earth, right? So we have to respect the law of time. We have to so manifesting something small, it's easy, right? Like go drive, buy the burger. But manifesting something really big takes a lot of energy, may take more time, but really the bottom line is that anything is possible. Yeah.
No, that's very cool. Yeah, it's cool that science is it's linked now to this whole manifestation thing.
Right.
For the people that are not so much into the woo-woo,
yeah, we call it the woo-woo.
Now bringing science in, and science is backing this up now.
Yeah.
And there's a correlation, there's a connection with both the things. It's pretty cool to see that.
So the second scientific example that I really want to talk about is a book that we've both enjoyed, Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. So if you if you're listening, if you have any inclination to, take manifestation seriously and get into it, you need to look this man up. You need to be getting on YouTube. You need to be doing his meditations. He's incredible, and he's not too advanced where you can't just know nothing about manifestation and start listening to him and not going to benefit. He really can break it down to a simple level. Some people that teach manifestation, it's too high up there. It's on the 8th level of consciousness. You can't start there. So I love telling people, read Becoming Supernatural. Watch Joe Dispenza speak. There's tons of interviews out there with him. We love him.
Yeah.
He does a lot of
but don't get it wrong. He could get advanced if you. Oh no, yeah. Dr. Joe Dispenza.
You gotta pause it.
I mean, I have watched some of his material, and I'm like, I gotta pause, rewind, back up, process, reflect, press play. Not even a minute later. Whoa.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's very smart, man, very sharp. And
it's amazing.
However, he teaches this thing in levels, and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because if you come from a place of a non-believer, let's use that, they are very, very easy to follow. Videos and so many YouTube. There's so many. He does a lot of YouTube and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you start there. And again, it's for the people that are into it, are interested in this stuff. There are people who may not ever want to be interested, and maybe they're not in this 3D realm to experience this. And, to each their own.
Right.
However, for the people that are interested, because we're only doing this bit because a lot of people asked. Yeah. We had so many questions come through from our last podcast, which was awesome to see. We even had somebody from Russia subscribing.
We love it. Yeah.
We're coming, people. Russia is they came.
Canada.
They're subscribing. So it's cool. So that means we're reaching people out there, which was our goal. But so the people that are interested in stuff that have asked us so many questions on the back end, where it's DMs or text messages or anything else. So that's why we're doing this bit. So so there are levels of this. If you want to dig in, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he has a lot of material. Gaia is another platform. That was a paid platform. I don't know how much it costs.
It's an app. It's $12 a month or something.
It's an app, but it's very cool. There's a lot of other teachers
resources
on there. But
Joe Dispenza's on there a lot.
He has
full courses on there.
So
GAIA.
GAIA. Sorry,
GAIA. So I think so moving forward, I think the next scientific thing that really, it was one of the things from his book, right? And so he did an experiment where he had 3 groups of people, and it was on gaining muscle. And so he had one group of people, and this is Joe Dispenza. Okay. He had one group of people visualize lifting weights. And they did it for, I want to say 15 minutes a day or something like that. And then the second group of people, they did nothing. And then the third group of people, they actually worked out. So this went on for several weeks. And the people who were in the physical group who actually worked out, they increased their strength by about 30%. The people who did nothing stayed the same. But the mental group, the people who just practice lifting weights in their minds, they increased their muscle mass and their strength between 13 and 22%. That's
okay. That's incredible.
So this is where, in that book, he gets really into the science of visualization and why it works. Your brain sends signals to your muscles through the motor cortex, and when you mentally rehearse a movement, it activates the same neural pathways as if you were doing it in real life. So the thing, if you take nothing away from that, the thing to take away is that your subconscious and your body, it doesn't know the difference between a visualization and an action. It can't tell the difference. So if you are using visualization in the correct way, and you're sitting there for 20 solid minutes every morning, or 5 minutes, or whatever you have time for, and you're visualizing your dream life, your dream car, your dream company, your dream family, your dream relationship, your body doesn't know the difference. So you will actually adjust to that dream life, and you will recognize those opportunities more clearly. You'll magnetize them in through your aura. We don't have time to get into the aura today, but we
will.
Say,
your body tunes into the right frequency.
That's
we would
right.
say it's the frequency.
Right.
It's like we're all like little radio stations, and we all have frequency. So if you're able to tune and figure out a way to tune into the right frequency,
yep,
you start to attract the things that you really want.
Exactly.
That's kind of like another simple way to put it.
Exactly.
Figuring out what the frequency is just the work. You got to put in the work. You got to educate yourself and learn things
but that's really incredible, right? That you can increase your muscle mass just through visualization. That's kind of crazy.
Speaking of, it's like working smarter, not harder. That's it right there. That's the definition of working smarter, not harder. And of course, we know professional athletes nowadays, a lot of them use a lot of visualization. I mean, Kobe Bryant was known to do this, and so many others. I just thought about him top of my mind.
The Blue Angels. Remember you sent me that video?
Oh, yes.
How they visualize and they do it together before they fly every single time.
Yeah, so the Blue Angels are a group of pilots that do like synchronized flying, basically.
Shows.
And I actually used to, side note, this is off the cuff, but I used to watch the Blue Angels all the time because when I was in the Marine Corps, I was stationed in Pensacola, Florida.
So lucky.
And that's where they were based.
That's so cool.
And every day was an air show because they used to practice every day because they're a global show. They travel the world.
Yeah.
How cool was it? Every day you'd be walking to the office and these guys are just doing stunts in the air every day. So, and then I get out and then they say they're in Portsmouth and I got to pay to go see them. I'm like, what? Wait. I'm like,
I've seen them a couple times and I love it's so cool.
Yeah, but the point is like these guys, they do a lot of visualization before they get in the planes, in the cockpit. And they just walk in and they look crazy again doing this. There's YouTube videos of not just them, a lot of pilots that do those shows and even just flying in general. I think they do that. You'll see them, they'll do movements, they'll put in thrusts and they flip, they go sideways. If you don't know what they're doing, you'll be like,
they look nuts.
They need to be in a psych hospital.
Yeah.
However, they just going through the routine and they visualizing it's going up, flying left, flying right, dipping and whatever else they do. So it's very cool. But then, athletes do that. They visualize themselves shooting into the basket, the ball actually getting in the net.
Yeah.
How they feel, they're elated, you mimic that feeling. So when you play the game, it actually translates to that. It's very cool. It's just cool.
So these people at high levels, top performers, are using this.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to become a top performer, an entrepreneur, whatever your goals are, do what these people are doing, right?
Yeah.
Don't overthink it.
Right.
Don't overthink it.
Don't over there and try to reinvent the book. We used to say just replicate,
Yeah.
Rip off and replicate.
Rip off and duplicate.
And
that
duplicate,
was
yes.
R&D. That was
R&D.
Tom Ferryism.
Yes,
Yep.
R&D, rip off and duplicate.
Yep. So let's jump into the RAS.
Okay.
Speaking of Tom Ferry, I think this is something we were introduced to through business coaching.
Correct.
So the reticular activating system in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
Again, bringing science into this, right? We receive millions of bits of information per day. Our brain can't process all of it, right? If you're listening to this, if you're driving in your car, I want you to just become aware of where you are right now. I'm sitting in a podcast studio. I'm not aware that there are vents above me. I'm not aware of, is the rug dirty below me? I am like focused in on you and the cameras. And so you can train your RAS to focus on certain things, okay? So again, reticular activating system, if you want to dive in and do a little extra research on this. So it's your filter. If you absorbed everything, you just like explode. You cannot process everything that comes at you every day. You just can't. So every morning, and this is why people who are so successful with manifestation have a really strong morning routine, because every morning you should be sitting and you should be deciding based on your routine what you're letting through that filter every day. This is a big part of keeping your frequency high, which we're going to get into in the next episode. It's a big part of keeping your frequency high and being open and able to recognize opportunities. Okay, so just test it out, right? Like I know we've all seen this happen before, where it's like, if you get a new car and it's a Nissan Rogue, you start to see them everywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You start to notice, and you're like, oh, there's another one. There's another Mustang. I can't believe how many Mustangs there are now that I have a Mustang. It's because they were always there, but you never noticed them.
Well, this brings me to my Maserati.
Yeah.
Once I had that as a thing that I wanted to manifest, how all of a sudden I'm seeing Maseratis everywhere.
Which is a
and
rare
I'm sure
car.
they were there before.
Yeah.
But I would just pick up on that every moment, every second, like not every second, but whenever it was around me.
And you thought to yourself, if they can have it, I can have it.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Of course. There was and there was no doubt in my mind too.
Yeah.
At some point in that part of my journey and what I had learned, I had a very undeniable belief that it was going to happen. Just to know when. And some people go, well, if you know that, I had a friend who said this, our best friend, I'm gonna call him out, Matt. Matt used to say, well, Patrick, why don't you just manifest $1 million or $1 billion and things like that? Well, who says I'm not? Again,
we're still on this journey.
The bigger the thing,
yeah.
the more energy, like you said, it takes to get into that, to get that. But yeah, my vision board is full of stuff that people would think I am absolutely loony because of what's on that board.
Love it though, babe.
However, it's going to happen. And again, it's undeniable. I just noticed now in my
we should bring our vision boards in sometime.
Ooh, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun one.
That'd be cool.
All right, I'll continue.
So having that morning routine, which we're going to get into tactical steps in the next episode, you're setting up your RAS for the day. So what you need to program your RAS to look for is all the people that are appreciative of you, right? You need to focus in on those people and be like, wow, this person really said thank you. Let me take a moment to integrate that gratitude into my being and to really let that allow to help me to raise my frequency, raise my vibration. If you're looking to call in abundance, if you're maybe you have a goal to make more money, well, you should be programming your RAS to look for money-making opportunities and to not focus on the fear of the risk of what if and to shut it down so quickly. But it should be focused on, oh, this guy over here, I'm not really in a conversation with him, but he's talking, I want to be a real estate developer, and he's talking about he's going to start a development. Maybe I should just be bold right now and just be like, hey, let me introduce myself. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? You don't know what that's going to lead to.
Okay.
But if your RAS, if you didn't do your morning routine, and if you were programmed to, if your subconscious was leading the way, which our subconscious is always programmed to keep us safe, and this goes way back, into caveman, to Neolithic times.
Ancient times.
Yeah, so our brain is programmed to keep us safe, so anything that causes fear, we naturally shy away from. So fear would be like a risk, right? And we know that we have to take risks in order to level up and to change our financial situation. So if we're afraid to approach that person, or maybe they're talking about the real estate development, and because our RAS is not properly set up for the day, we don't even hear them.
Correct.
It literally gets filtered out. It's a really good example of just being aware of your surroundings and telling your brain to focus on the positive, on the opportunities, on the money making. You can worry about the risks after. Have the conversation, right? Make the phone call. Watch the YouTube video, sign up for the course, whatever's going to get you closer to that goal, and tell the fear to just quiet down. We'll deal with that another time.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's exactly what you have to be doing. But I think for a lot of people, what one of the things I've learned, and I like to preach this to other people too, is you have to take every morning you wake up. See, a lot of people reach for their phones. First thing you do, you wake up, you reach for your phone.
Yep.
So I used to do this. Social media, checking your Facebook, you're checking your Instagram, or you're checking your voicemails or your texts.
Yeah.
It's wrong. Stop.
Wrong. Thumbs down. Stop.
First thing one needs to be doing is quiet the mind. Start with a minute, right? Just wake up and just breathe and just relax and think of nothing. For some people, that's hard to do, right?
Yeah,
I know we all have
instantly
hectic
jump
lives.
into like, what do I have to do
But
today?
this goes into your health. Like, if you're not healthy and well, you're not going to be good to anybody or anything, right? So this is a small exercise people that want to start changing their lives can start with. A small, doable exercise. Wake up. I'm not saying, because I do about 15, 20 minutes. Because, people say, well, I don't have time. No, wake up a little earlier. I've learned now to wake up. I'm starting, we've done a lot of work. So I used to be one of those people like, I don't wake up. I can't wake up early. I'm not a morning person.
Sleep till the last minute. Yeah.
If you want a better life, if you want to change things, your instances, and again, not for everybody. Some people are doing well. Good for you, however you've done it. But this is the people that are struggling. This is the people that are looking for a way to start. What do I do to start? This is the small things. Some of the small things you can start is wake up in the morning, have gratitude. Oh, gratitude. That's a whole different thing. I'm going, but this all ties in, right?
Yeah.
Where, yes, it plays into your RAS, because if you take that minute to focus in on yourself, breathe, relax, be grateful, be thankful you're alive, then the very next practice is in that same sitting. Let's say you do 30 seconds of the first part of it. I'm not asking for much, just a little bit. Then I'll take the next 30 seconds of thinking of things you want to happen in your life. Things of what you want to happen in your life for that day. Start programming yourself, and that's a way to start to use your RAS, okay,
to get it ready for the day.
I want a new car, whatever that car is. You're like, okay, think about that car, breathe, think. And again, woo. But it's not woo. No, it's not. We're living proof.
It happens. All right. So we've talked about a lot of the science behind manifestation. Let's pause right now. Let's pivot and let's take a question from one of our listeners.
Sure. Yeah, I'll read the question.
Okay.
So the question is, as an entrepreneur, how do you deal with clients thinking that it's okay to access you all the time?
So this person, they kind of were saying that, once you leave your 9 to 5, that it's kind of the benefit of having a 9 to 5 is that at 5, you're done, right? And then especially through the pandemic, when people started working from home and stuff, it's like easy to keep working at 7 p.m., at 9 p.m. And then when you have your own business, that's tough, because if you don't set boundaries, people they'll just think they can access you at any time because they want what they want. They're not, 90% of people don't think of like, oh, maybe she's tired, it's 9 o'clock, I won't ask her like this stressful question, right? We've experienced that.
Of course.
In real estate.
Yeah, so it's all about setting boundaries.
To the max.
We have to set strong boundaries.
Yeah.
I mean, again, within reasoning, right? Those things, it's like, there's sometimes once in the blue moon that something may need to be dealt with after hours.
But usually it's not an emergency,
right?
But like, you're, as the entrepreneur, you feel it feels emergent.
Oh, of course,
right?
Of course.
So I think the thing to know is that through our experience, when we were first doing real estate, we didn't have boundaries, right? People would text us at 8 p.m. and we would answer.
Yeah.
Whether they're freaking out, they want to be calmed down, whatever the case may be. But as we started to scale, and as we started to enter into the realm of like being top producers and closing 40, 50 deals a year, we started to realize that not only were we burnt out and were we not taking time for ourselves, but we were not the best version of ourselves for our clients, for our family, because we weren't setting boundaries.
Correct.
So the first thing you have to do as an entrepreneur is take massive, massive responsibility for everything that's going on in your business, because it's, at the end of the day, it is all your fault.
It's all on you.
It's all on you. Because when you started a business, no one told you that you had to answer those questions all the time. It's a story that you're telling yourself, because you're having fears pop up in your mind, and those fears are saying, they'll be mad if I don't answer them. What if I lose them as a client? What if they go somewhere else? What if they leave me a bad review? These are all things that that part of your mind that is fear-based is talking to you. It's not the real you, right?
Right.
It's your fears popping up. So you have to differentiate and distinguish that.
Correct.
So the answer to this is it's twofold. It's setting clear boundaries at the beginning. Mm-hmm. In that first email with the client introduction, in that welcome to working with me, right? Those clear boundaries have to be set. If you don't set them in the first email, you're screwed. Why? Because they will be texting you at 7, 8 p.m. at night, and then you'll send out an email and saying, hey, just so you know, these are my boundaries. Then they think that it's directed at them, and they get salty.
Okay, yes.
Right?
Yep.
So you can't do it in the middle.
No.
You're screwed.
It's setting the expectation.
It's setting the expectations
early.
of how they can access you early.
Correct.
And make sure you're super comfortable with that. So making sure you can text me. So what I used to say is you can text me anytime between my normal business hours are 9 to 6. And after that, if you have a question that it's burning, you have to ask me, at 9 o'clock at night, send me an email, and I will not check it until the next day. I will not respond until the next day. Now, in that, most people will respect that, I've found. You'll have some random people that will text you and say, oh, it's 7 o'clock at night, but sorry, but XYZ. That's again where you come in and you take massive responsibility. Don't answer them. If you don't respect your own boundaries, nobody else will.
I agree.
And the first time you do it, you're gonna have anxiety, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, but the answer is just Saturday. They just want to know, when is this happening? And the answer is Saturday, so it's quick, so I can tell them. No. Yeah. If you don't respect your own boundaries, no one else will. This is your family time. It doesn't matter if it's a simple question, because once you breach your own boundaries, they will continue to breach your boundaries.
I had a hard time with this because of my personality.
Oh,
because
I was once I realized it, I was so quick. I was like, cut off 6 o'clock, and then I'd see you with your phone, and I'd be like, are you talking to clients? Right?
Yeah, it's just because, my personality, and that's something I had to work on. Admittedly.
Yeah. Right. And then the next level, the part 2 answer to this is when you're scaling your business, as you're growing, you need to hire people to help you before you feel ready, right?
Okay.
And that's not easy for everyone. That's not easy to think like, wow, I have to give this person like this salary and I'm responsible for them essentially. And also, they're not going to do as good of a job as I can do. That's what every entrepreneur thinks in their mind, right? But if you take the time to properly train the people that you hire, they're not going to be you exactly, right? Because you're the creative, you're the person with that fire to lead, and you're the one with the ideas. But they can be 80-90%, and take care of a lot of things and take a lot of stuff off your back, off your plate. But hiring is tough. Making your first hire is really hard, and it's like it's terrifying, and sometimes you need to actually do a lot of shadow work with like a coach that knows what they're doing.
Yep.
in order to get through those barriers that you're setting for yourself in your brain. Sometimes you can just hear something simple and be like, okay, I'm gonna go. Certain people can just go hire, and it's fine if they make a mistake, that they'll hire someone else. They'll be like, oh, that wasn't good, I learned from it. But some people have real deep-seated limiting beliefs around hiring, and have issues with control and with wanting everything to be presented in a very particular way in their business. And those people have to really realize that they're going to hit a ceiling. They're going to hit a ceiling where it's like, there's only so many hours in a day. You still have to have time for your family. You still have to make time for pleasure. You still have to make time to educate yourself, because that's what being a creative entrepreneur is all about. And that means that my business will only ever make $200,000 a year, because that's my ceiling. Until I hire someone, and pay that person, let's say like a $50,000 a year salary, that's when you'll scale your business to 400, 500,000, because you're training them properly and you're able to surrender a little bit and to let go of that control. So it's really a two-part answer, and there could be some deep-seated issues and beliefs that you as the entrepreneur need to really like pull out by the roots.
Wow, said a lot there. That's awesome. That being said, I want to hire about 13 more people. Now that you give me the increment.
13? Okay.
I mean, the more people I hire, it seems like I probably do well. Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Right. And we are hiring.
Yeah, I know.
We're looking. We're looking. So let's wrap up this episode. This was a really good episode, and I'm looking forward to doing part 2. So guys, thank you for listening. Please make sure you tune in next Friday for part 2 of this episode, because we're going to dive deeper into what your morning routine should look like, how to apply some of the scientific stuff that we talked about in this episode, and then we're going to bring in some real life examples of things that we've manifested, and it's going to be cool.
Yes. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for watching. Bye.